Hey all, welcome to your first year of drum lessons, week 11. Snare drum, drum pad, music theory, reading, all of those things, episode of the show. My name is Penny Larson, and I am really happy to have you guys with me today. I'm trying a little something different with the audio for our drum pad lesson. Feel free to let me know whether this is better or worse or equally bad. I have a fairly live drum set, which gives me a little bit of unintended drum reverb. And I'm trying to minimize that, but short of throwing a blanket over it, which it might come to that, but short of throwing a blanket over that, it's been difficult to control these drums really want to sing. And even when I'm just talking, they want to sing with me, and it's been difficult to control that, and I apologize. So, hey, yeah, things are going on. The world's a little crazy right now. I've been meaning to be ahead on these drum lessons, but I'm not ahead, and so I can in real time tell you that, hey, the world is crazy right now, and if you're watching these far in the future, just look back to what was happening at the beginning of the year 2020, and you'll know, oh, hey, I get it. So I might be a little subdued today because the world is crazy right now, but I'm so happy to be able to drum with you guys because not much feels more normal than drumming, right? Oh my God. Okay, so today we're gonna expand on our rolls. We're gonna learn 9-stroke rolls. We're gonna add the accents into the paradiddle patterns, the paradiddle pyramid patterns that we were doing, and we're gonna do some kind of crazy 16th note patterns so that we can start thinking about what it might be like to play a snare drum solo based more on 16th notes than just eighth notes and quarter notes. And maybe in a few weeks or a couple months, then we'll be able to even add some of these rolls into our snare drum solos. And flams too, of course. And then kind of the sky's the limit, right? There certainly are more rudiments that we haven't gotten to, but frankly, the double stroke roll family, the paradiddle family, and the flam family, that's mostly it, right? The kind of higher number ones really are basically, I mean, there's the drag, which we haven't talked about yet, and the rough, but those are very special effect kind of rudiments. Most of those high numbers are variations of the low numbers, right? So as we go, they get a little more difficult, but you're already going to have a lot of tools to play them. So given the level we're at, they won't seem as difficult as the first ones did. Okay, so let's jump right in. So we've got 9-stroke rolls. I'm skipping 6-stroke rolls for now and 7-stroke rolls. I think they're a little bit more difficult, so let's jump to 9-stroke rolls and we'll take a step back to 6s and 7s. So if last week our 5-stroke roll was a roll that lasted for a half a beat, a 9-stroke roll is a roll that lasts for a quarter note. Okay, and here's what that looks like. So last week, if I had an eighth note with 2 slashes, that made the eighth note 32nd notes, right? Because we started with 1 beam or flag, and then we added 2 slashes, and so we started from an eighth note. The first slash made it a 16th note, and the second slash made it a 32nd note. Because we're playing a quarter note roll, now I need 3 slashes, right? Because I'm starting from just a quarter note, just a note with a stem. So the first slash makes it eighth notes, the second slash makes it 16th notes, and the third slash makes it 32nd notes. Make sense? So we're going to do the same kind of progression that we did last week. The exercise sheet is a little bit different just because 9-stroke rolls don't so automatically alternate. So I've kind of built alternating into the flow. And then down at the bottom, we're gonna do some different stuff than what we did with the 5-stroke roll. So the very first line, we're in the time signature of 6/4, which hopefully you saw last week's lesson. All that means is we're going to count 6 beats instead of 4 beats. A 4 is still in the bottom, so everything else about the time signature stays the same. Quarter notes are our beat, right? Really straightforward. We're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I'm going to have my metronome set with no accents for the first one, just to not confuse us at all. So let's do the first one at 60 beats per minute, nice and slow, because we're going to do 8th notes and then 16th notes. So this is the same thing we did with the 5-stroke roll. We're going to have 4 8th notes and then a quarter note, which then is going to morph into 8 16th notes and a quarter note. So without the metronome, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and notice that I'm alternating. I'm starting with my right and then I'm starting with my left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so then that becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 doubles and a single becomes 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. With me? Make sense? Okay. So let's do that first line, number 1. So I'm going to count like this, right? 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6. Here we go. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5 and 6, 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4E and a 5E and a 6. Okay, so I'm not going to do that one any faster for you. You can definitely do that one faster. And if playing number 1 over and over again is helpful to you, then stay with number 1. I'm going to jump right to number 2 because it's basically the same thing, just in 4/4 instead of 6/4. And instead of 8th notes and 16th notes, now I've got 16th notes and 32nd notes. So even though I'm going to keep the tempo the same, 60 beats a minute, suddenly I'm going to be playing twice as fast because I shifted gears on the notes, right? I made the notes go 1 degree faster. So now I'm going to count 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4, 1E and a 2, 3E and a 4. And I'm going to count it the same in both measures because there is really no great way to count 32nd notes other than 1E and so on as 16th notes, and just every time you say a 16th note, you know that you're playing a double, right? 1E and so on. Okay, so let's try number 2, 60 beats a minute, same tempo, but because I've shifted gears to 16th notes and 32nd notes, the notes happen twice as frequently, right? Okay, so 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. And just like last week, number 3 and number 2 sound exactly the same. Remember what I said a few minutes ago? These 3 slashes mean that I'm playing 32nd notes for this whole quarter note. That's just what I did up here, right? 3 beams, 32nd notes, 8 notes per beat. I'm playing them as doubles, right? And then down here, the right with the slash to the right means I know I'm starting with my right hand and I'm ending with my right hand, and I'm playing double stroke rolls or 32nd notes for a quarter note, and we're playing a double stroke roll. Okay, so I'm going to play that a little bit faster, and just know that I am playing either line 2 or line 3. There's no way for you to know. Let's not go crazy fast. Let's try 90 beats a minute and see how that goes. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. One E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4. Let's take it one more step. A pretty common tempo to shoot for is 120 in terms of just a nice kind of normal middle of the road tempo. 120 is right on the edge of things starting to be fast, right? 120 is still in that, a lot of times it'll get listed in allegretto, which allegro is fast, right? Allegretto is like a little bit fast, right? And so 120 is a nice tempo to like have in your mind as a good stopping point, right? Once you can hit 120, you can start to feel like, oh, I'm getting a handle on this, right? I mean, this metronome goes up to 500 beats per minute, and a lot of my younger students will be very excited about seeing how fast the metronome goes. And when I tell them that it'll play 16th note subdivisions at 500 beats a minute, and that's 2,000 clicks a minute, they get very excited. And I mean, really, that's what we're all going for, right? We're trying to play everything we can play at 500 beats per minute. That's the goal. You want to be able to play. So I have a book that's out of print that's called Speed is of No Concern, right? And so we want to be able to play everything as fast as possible, because then when we go to use it, we want to be able to play it with no concern, right? At the same time, you want to have realistic benchmarks to shoot for. 120 is an awesome realistic benchmark to shoot for. Let's try this at 120. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 and a 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 and a 4, 1 E and a 2, 3 and a 4. Okay. And like I say, that's a nice, 120 is a nice sort of landing zone to aim for. Once you can do them at 120, obviously aim for 140, aim for 160, aim for 180. Double stroke rolls in like the 180 to 220 range. That's where doubles start to become really, for lack of a better way to say it, unintelligible on, especially on drum set type snare drums. If you're playing a marching snare and you've got like, you know, a Kevlar or a fiber, what's the other material? Oh, I'm so out of drum corps habit. But if you've got one of those drum corps marching type heads and the snare drum is very, very articulate, you know, you can play as fast as you want and you'll be able to hear every little articulation, right? But on drum set snare drums especially, because the heads are a little more spongy and we tend to tune them a little bit, you know, looser, so the drum has a little bit more body and less articulation. Once your doubles get up to 180, 200, it just starts to sound like mush on the snare drum, no matter how clean you play them. So 180 is like, you can keep in the back of your mind as a nice top end. And again, even when you get to 180, you're still going to want to play them at 260, right? I mean, there is no upper limit to how fast we want to play this stuff. Okay, number 4 is 16th notes and 32nd notes back and forth. So I'm going to play 4 16th notes and then 4 doubles, so 8 32nd notes. So 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 4 1 2 3 4 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And let's try that with the metronome. Let's change it up a little. Let's do it at about 80. Well, not about 80. Let's do it at 80. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2. And with 4 and 5, I have a left-handed version because the pattern isn't alternating. So let's try letter B, the left-handed version. Let's keep the same tempo. 2, 3, 4 Eana. 4 Eana, 1 Eana, 2 Eana, 3 Eana, 4 Eana. Let's try that same exercise of right hand, left hand a little bit faster. Let's try this one at 110 beats per minute. 1, right hand, ready, go. Left hand. 1, 2, ready, go. Number 5, it's all 32nd notes. The thing that's changing is the sticking. So now I have 8 notes on every beat. The first and third is alternating, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. The second and fourth beat, it's double strokes, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. So that'll work like this. And our goal here is to make it sound like I'm not switching between singles and doubles. That's pretty difficult, especially on a drum pad, especially if you're holding your sticks nice and loose and you can hear the pitch of each stick, because even just the slight difference in pitch is going to create some sort of sonic difference. And then hitting the pad in a different spot a lot of times will have a slightly different sound. And I'm assuming your technique isn't perfect. My technique isn't perfect. So I definitely am, to this day, still working on trying to smooth these out. And I've found that it's the type of thing that if you're not working on it all the time, you lose it a little bit, right? I've certainly spent time in my life working on making this very smooth, but it's not something that's on my regular practice schedule right now. And so as I'm demonstrating it for you, I'm really embarrassed about how uneven these sound to me. Okay, so this is always a thing you can work on, and you can work on it at any tempo. I'm going to do this at a couple tempos too. Let's start with 70. One, two, ready, go. Left hand. 1, 2, ready, go. I've found that if I'm noticing that the sticking sounds really different between the singles and the doubles, if I try and control my breathing, slow my breathing down, try and let my shoulders down, try and relax, that helps a lot more than focusing too much on fixing it, right? Because if you focus too much on fixing it, it's very natural to introduce some tension as you try and figure out what to do with your hands. And don't worry about your hands. Your hands are, hopefully by this point, your hands are kind of figuring out how to do a little bit of this stuff without you mothering them quite so much, right? Without you telling them every last little motion they need to make, okay? So now hopefully we're at the point where we can start to think a little bit more macro about our technique, especially when we're playing an exercise that's not specifically technique, okay? I'm not wicked thinking about my doubles technique right now. I'm thinking about how the notes sound and just trying to relax into making them sound the way I want. I'm not thinking about my hands. I'm not, I promise. And I encourage you to try that. Try and slow your breathing down, relax your shoulders. Don't even think too much about your hands. Just think about your arms being really relaxed and supportive of the sticks. Okay, let's try that a little bit faster just so you can see how it sounds and I can embarrass myself a little bit more. Let's try it at 100. If you're having trouble with this, getting the timing of the 30-second notes with the alternating, what you can do is play 16th notes with your right hand, and then when you're comfortable doing that, fill in the 30-second note with your right hand. Let me slow the metronome down. Let's go way back down to 60, and let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to count 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. I'm going to play that just with my right hand. 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. I'm going to keep that going, and now I'm going to fill in my left hand. 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Okay, so if you're having trouble with the 30-second notes as singles at first, just back off the tempo, 16th notes with your right hand, and then fill in your left hand. Again, there isn't a super great way to count 30-second notes other than as like kind of doubled 16th notes, right? So I'm counting my right hand. Either when I'm doing doubles, I'm counting 16th notes and I'm playing double strokes, right? Or if I want to play them as singles, I'm counting 16th notes on the hand that's leading, and then I'm filling in that extra 30-second note on the other hand, trying to keep it even while I do that. So let's try number 5 at 100 beats per minute. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Left hand, 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, told you, right? I can't tell you when the last time I worked on that with left hand lead was. Been a while. As I'm teaching y'all, I'm adding to the list of things that I've let go too much that I need to kind of work into my regular practice routine. And smoothing out my doubles seems like it's one. Okay, so 9-stroke rolls, practice them a lot. They will help your double stroke rolls in general. Practice your 5s and your 9s together. In a couple weeks, we're going to start putting them together, first for an exercise and then for some solo stuff. Okay. Next, paradiddle pyramids. Okay, so a couple weeks ago we did the paradiddle pyramid with no accents, and then we did the paradiddles with accents by themselves. Now we're going to put those two things together. And like always, this and the other handouts today are going to be available down below in the doobly-doo as a PDF. There's a lot of dense notes this week, so I really encourage you to download these or print them out or whatever so you can refer to them. So the first way we're going to do this is the single accent version of the paradiddles. So every paradiddle is just going to have an accent on the very first note of the paradiddle. We've got 4 singles, 4 doubles, 4 triples, 4 doubles, and then we repeat to 4 singles, 4 doubles, 4 triples, 4 doubles, 4 singles, right? And it's kind of this pyramid shape. And then the second one is the multiple accent. So every time you say pa, you do an accent. And just like the first exercise today had a 6/4 time signature, we've got some measures of 6/4 in this exercise as well to allow for those double paradiddles. So if I just play this with the accents without the metronome, I get paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 para-para-paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 para-para-paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle. None of the notes should speed up, right? These are all 16th notes, okay? If you want to speed up the whole thing needs to go faster, but the exercise needs to stay pretty steady. I'm only going to play these at 1 tempo each for you, just because I think you get the idea. A strange thing is going to happen on the double paradiddles with the metronome. Because it is a beat and a half, right? The double paradiddle is 6 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E. Oh, wait a minute. So then the next one starts on the and after 2, okay? So don't let that throw you. If you need to work on these for a while without a metronome to get comfortable, totally cool, right? Get used to the sticking, get used to the saying paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, para-paradiddle, para-par. You'll get used to the way it goes against the beat, but you need to get comfortable with the pattern first. So let's do the first one with single accents. 1 E and a 2 E and a paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Okay, and then the multiple accent version, so the sticking pattern stays the same. We play it once for you without the metronome. So I've got paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 para-para-paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 para-para-paradiddle, para-para-paradiddle, para-paradiddle, para-para-paradiddle, para-paradiddle, 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 tap. Okay, so let's try that with the metronome. 1, 2, paradiddle, 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 para-paradiddle, 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 paradiddle, 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 paradiddle. Paradiddle, 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 tap. Okay, so hopefully this seems like a continuation of what we've been doing with paradiddles, and this shouldn't be too confusing. Just keep at it. We're totally going to put these patterns on the drum set, so forewarned. Okay? Lastly today, we're going to do some 16th note patterns. And again, this will be down in the doobly-doo. Totally print this out, right? Because I don't think you're going to be able to see it good enough to memorize all these patterns. Some of these are super simple. Some of them are a little tricky. The reason we're doing these is so you can get used to playing. We did that 16th note timing exercise. You saw all of these patterns, okay? You just saw them in a repeating way. And so you could work on them and learn how they looked and learn how to count them. If any of this is confusing to you, you just jump right back to that exercise and you play, you figure out which of these patterns is giving you a hard time, and you drill that measure over and over again with a metronome, counting out loud, so you can really see how each 16th note pattern works, whether it's, you know, usually the ones that are tricky are the 2 16ths and an 1/8 in some configuration, right? But it doesn't matter. Whatever pattern is giving you trouble, you just drill that over and over again. We don't have any rests on this. Well, we have 1/4 rest on the page, but basically there's no rests on the page. Okay. I'm just going to play through them. Since we've seen all these patterns before, I'm going to play through them a few times, count them out loud so you can see how they sound. Okay. This is definitely the type of thing. If you have questions, please feel free to ask down below. Okay. Because this is the type of thing that could generate questions, but I don't think I can anticipate every single question that it might generate. I'm going to put on a pretty mellow tempo of 80 beats per minute. And I'm going to do each one probably 8 times. And then I'm going to take a break before I move on, just so there can be some separation. Okay, so here's number 1. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. Okay, number 2. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and 2 and a 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 E and 2 and a 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 E and 2 and a 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 E and 2 and a 3 E and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4. Okay, number 3. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 E and 4. Number 4. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E and a 4. Number 5. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and a 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E a 4. Number 6. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. Number 7. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4. Number 8. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E, a 2 E and 3 E, a 4 and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E, a 4. 1 E, a 2 E and 3 E, a 4 and 1 and a 2 E and a 3 E, a 4. 1E, a 2E and 3E, a 4 and 1 and a 2E and a 3E, a 4, 1E, a 2E and 3E, a 4 and 1 and a 2E and a 3E, a 4. Number 9. 1, 2, 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E, a 3E, a 4E, a 1E and 2E, a 3E, a 4. 1E and a 2E, a 3E, a 4E, a 1E and 2E, a 3E, a 4. 1E and a 2E, a 3E, a 4E, a 1E and 2E, a 3E, a 4. 1E and a 2E, a 3E, a 4E, a 1E and 2E, a 3E, a 4. Number 10. 1, 2, 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2 and 3E and a 4E, a 1E, a 2E and a 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and 3E and a 4E, a 1E, a 2E and a 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and 3E and a 4E, a 1E, a 2E and a 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and 3E and a 4E, a 1E, a 2E and a 3 and a 4. 1, 2 and 3E and a 4E, a 1E, a 2E and a 3 and a 4. Number 11. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2E and 3 and 4 and a 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. 1 and 2E and 3 and 4 and a 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. 1 and 2E and 3 and 4 and a 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. 1 and 2E and 3 and 4 and a 1E and 2E and 3E and 4. Number 12. 1, 2, 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4. 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3, 4. Number 13. 1, 2, 3E and a 4E and a 1 and a 2E, a 3E and a 4E and 1 and a 2E, a 3E and 4. 1 and a 2E, a 3E and a 4E and 1 and a 2E, a 3E and 4. 1 and a 2E, a 3E and a 4E and 1 and a 2E, a 3E and 4. 1 and a 2E, a 3E and a 4E and 1 and a 2E, a 3E and 4. And lastly, number 14. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 E and a 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2, 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. Okay, so like I say, some of those, super simple. Most of them should be within your grasp, given what we've done so far, right? We've counted all of these before, we've seen all of these before. Some of these patterns, we're putting them together in slightly awkward ways, but that's the whole point, right? Music, when you try to make music, music doesn't care whether something is awkward for you to play with your hands, right? Music just wants to sound like music sounds. And there will be times where to get the musical sound that you want, you're going to have to do something that's incredibly awkward, right? But the music is the higher goal than making something, you know, easy to understand or even easy to play. Okay, so if some of these are confusing, just wrestle with them for a while. Like I say, I don't think anything on here should be too bad considering what we've done in the last few weeks. Okay. Take them at a tempo that makes sense for you, and then try and speed them up to 500 beats per minute, right? If any of you can do these at 500 beats per minute, please let me know. All right, so that's going to wrap us up for today. I really appreciate y'all being with me today. It means an awful lot to me to make these videos for you and to have you all with me in this year-long journey that we're on, that because it happens in real time is going to be an interesting year, and I'm super happy to have you with me. Okay, so 9-stroke rolls, paradiddle pyramids, 16th notes, all of this stuff is going to be folding into what we're doing on the drum set, right? Hopefully you can start to already see how this stuff melds together. At the same time, hopefully, if you're only doing these exercises, you can see that linear path and you're not, you know, bugged that you're not doing drum set stuff. And if you're only doing the drum set lessons, well then what are you doing here today? But if you're watching this and you're mostly only doing the drum set lessons, hopefully those are following a linear path for you too. And either of these lessons, hopefully you can follow without the other. But if you're doing both of them, hopefully you're seeing how they're really kind of gelling together, and there's a lot of overlap between things that you need to learn with your hands and music theory and the notes and the counting and all the stuff we're doing here, and then stuff that we move over to the drum set. Okay, so I'm gonna go, and remember that all the handouts will be down below in the doobly-doo. Remember that you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Penny Larson Drums. I'd love to connect with you on either of those platforms, and I'm psyched to connect with you here. So if you could hit the little thumbs up like button. I think I'm supposed to say smash that like button nowadays, but that seems weird. And if you want to get notifications of when I make new videos, hit the little notification bell. But before you even do that, you've got to be subscribed. So hit the subscribe button first, and then you'll keep up with all these videos and you won't miss any, because missing any would be sad. All right, I'm going to go. I will see you guys all on Friday. I have a little bit more free time lately, as a lot of us do. So there may be some extra videos coming soon, but no promises, and we'll see. At the absolute least, I will see you on Friday on the drum set, and maybe we'll do some of these paradiddle things, and maybe we'll do some of these 16th note things.